Good morning, students. Students, I Anil Kumar Swain welcome you back to the GYANJYOTI online classes. Students, today we will read the last chapter for the month of October syllabus. Okay, students, it has been decided that the syllabus up to October is to be taught only in the online classes. Okay, students. So the last chapter is in history. It is new ideas and religions. Students, before this we have studied about the Janapadas and Mahajanapadas. I hope you would have watched that video. Now, students, if you will see that I have written a small topic here. Religions in India. Students, there are majorly 4 religions. Apart from them, there are 2 other religions also. So, the first one is Hinduism, Islam, Sikhism, Christianity. Majorly these 4 religious people reside in our country. And apart from them, as I have told you that the people of belonging to Jain and Buddhist community, they also reside. So we can say that mainly there are 6 types of religions prevailing in our country. People follow this type of religion. So students, what is the meaning of the word religion? If you will see, so religion is, students, a faith upon a god, upon a goddesses, you can say, okay, by a common fraternity of the people who worship them, who believe in them, they have a belief in a Lord. So students, major changes had taken place in society towards the end of the later Vedic period. Religious and social ideas of people had also begun to change. As I have told you that the religious rituals were being performed in the later Vedic age, then students, ceremonies and religious practices had become increasingly difficult, expensive and complex to perform. It was very difficult to perform. Elaborate rituals means in a detailed manner, that we can say elaborating, and animal sacrifices on every occasion annoyed the people. So some people were annoyed by watching this, that why this uniform culture is being adopted by giving animal sacrifice. Who were unhappy with such types of practices. Many people oppose the unnecessary killing of animals. They didn't like the sacrifice of animals as a religious ritual. Therefore, they decided to follow a different religion or different community of people. They opposed it and they tried to alienate themselves from this type of religious activities. Then students, due to the Brahmins, as I have told you, Brahmins were the upper caste people. Now also they are being looked upon as the higher caste. So Brahmins, being the sole performers of the religious rituals, their power increased considerably. Yes, students, if a single community people, they do some religious rituals, they teach them, so more importance was given to them. So their power increased gradually. And the caste system had also become very rigid. The lower caste people were downtrodden, so they were being looked down, they were being harassed, suppressed. The so-called lower caste were unhappy over the inhumane treatment being done to them. So things were not allowed. Primary things like entry into temples or drawing water from public wells was denied to the lower caste people. Students, then the Sanskrit was the language of the higher caste people, and the Vedic hymns which were being sung by the educated people. The religious rituals were done also in the form of Vedic hymns. These practices and people's sufferings awakened many thinkers to the situation who These practices and people suffering awakened many thinkers to the situation, who arose to find answers to various questions that agitated them. Vardhaman Mahavira and Gautam Buddha were two such sensitive thinkers who were known during the time. You can say they were great social reformers. By them only two different religions came to India, that is the Jainism and Buddhism. They started movements to get rid of these evil practices and to make religion more human and accessible. So thus the birth of Jainism and Buddhism came to India. Students, first of all, we'll study about Jainism. Vardhaman Mahavira was known as the founder of Jainism. So you may have visited a Jain temple. There you can see that Mahavira is being worshipped, and there are different divisions also in the religion of Jainism. Jainism is one of the world's oldest religions in the world. Vardhaman Mahavira was the founder. Vardhaman Mahavira, one of the greatest religious teachers, was responsible for popularizing the religion. Born in 540 BC, students, born in 540 BC in Kundagram near Vaishali. So he was born near Vaishali. To birth, and he was a princely Kshatriya king, and he was married and had a daughter, Priyadarsena. Okay, students, he was also married, he belonged to a Kshatriya family, and he gave up his life of luxury to live a life of very simple man, and he once faced he saw some of the problems being faced by the common people. Then he decided to live a very simple life, by which after leading only, he decided that I would opt for this type of life, which may consist of great hardships, great problems and difficulties. Students, he meditated for 12 years. He left his home and he took meditation for 12 years. Means you think 12 years is a long time, very long time. Then at last he got enlightenment about the nature and the meaning of the word universe. For the next, so he came to be known as the Jaina. Okay, Jain means the conqueror, and his followers came to be known as Jains. So Jaina means a conqueror. And the followers of Mahavira came to be known as the Jain people. And for the next 30 years, Mahavira spread his message among the people. It is said that he was not the founder of the religion, rather he was the 24th and last Tirthankara. He was actually not he was the founder, he was the main Tirthankara, 24th Tirthankara, and last Tirthankara of the Jainas. He systematized and organized teachings of his predecessors and preached them throughout India. He is generally known as the main. Students, now Mahavira, he was generally referred to as only Mahavira, which means great hero. He was like a hero. He passed away at Pavapuri near Rajgiri, Bihar. So he passed away in Pavapuri in Rajgir, Bihar. He was generally known as the Mahavira, great hero. Sri Mahavira spoke in Prakrit. Prakrit was an ancient Indian language, the language of the common people, as everybody could understand his teachings, his beliefs, and the region, not classical Sanskrit, which could be understood only by the upper caste and educated people. Students, Sanskrit was taught to the upper class people, educated people, so he tried to avoid that language and he tried to give his teachings in Prakrit. Then the oldest Jain scriptures are also preserved in the same language, because the local public, the simple man, the layman could understand his teachings. Then he inspired some people to give up their positions and become monks. Monks means in Hindi, students, we can say sadhu sant. He invited different people to become monks, to give up their luxurious life and give up their positions and come with him to become monks. There were others who continued with their family and work and started following his teachings. There are also different people who followed his teachings. They remained with their family, but they tried to follow his teachings. Then several kings patronized Jainism. Several kings tried to adopt Jainism and they were influenced by him. Jain art, architecture and literature flourished under their patronage. Two examples of Jain architecture are the Jain temples at Mount Abu. Students, Mount Abu is situated in present day Rajasthan. Dilwara temples, okay students, and the Ranakpur in Rajasthan. So both are in Rajasthan. There are some famous Jain temples. Famous Jain temples. And a 17-meter tall statue of Lord Gomateshwara, also known as the Bahubali at Sravanga, Belaga. Lord Gomateshwara statue is a 17-meter very heighted statue situated in our country. Then students, about the teachings, we will study about the teachings. What were the teachings of Mahavira? So students, what were the teachings? The ahimsa or non-violence, every social reformer in India have supported, and the art of non-violence was the most important teaching of Mahavira. He preached that the people should not harm any living creature, whether humans, it may be plants, it may be animals, it may be insects. He believed every object, even the smallest particle, has soul. Even the unconscious killing of an ant was a sin. He did not believe in the caste system and believed in the equality of all people. He opposed religious rituals and sacrifice in the existence of God. Freedom from the cycle of death and life and rebirth, that is called moksha. He thought that it was the ultimate aim of his teachings. The path to moksha is a central to the teaching of Jainism. Students, the path to moksha, salvation, it is moksha, that is called salvation. The path to moksha is a central teaching of Jainism. The three jewels or the three ratnas were right faith, right knowledge and right conduct. Students, the three jewels, the three ratnas of Jainism were, the first one was right faith, then the second one was right knowledge, then first the third one was the right conduct. If you follow these three steps, students, then you can find moksha. So this was the right way to find moksha or to achieve the moksha. Students, then we will move to the next subtopic. in Jainism, that is the religious text. What was the religious text by which we know about Jainism, the existence of Jainism at that period of time? Okay, students, what are the different religious texts? Mahavira's original teachings were first preserved through oral tradition by speaking. Then they were later written down in the form of 14 Puranas. The Jains wrote their religious literature in Ardhamagadi. Okay, students, the name is Ardhamagadi. Okay, students, Ardhamagadi, there is a religious text and it was written in Prakrit. I have told you that the language wisdom teachings was of Mahavira gave it was in Prakrit, not in Sanskrit, because of the reason I have already discussed with you. Now the spread, to how extent Jainism spread. It became popular in Odisha, Gujarat, and even as far as Mysore. Later on, it got mainly confined to 4 regions: Gujarat, Rajasthan, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. Okay, students, the Jain temples, you can find some remains. If you will go to Bhubaneswar, you will see some remains of the Jainism. Okay, students, then next we will move to Buddhism. The next topic here is Buddhism. Students, so who was the founder of Buddhism? How it spread? It is one of the religions like Jainism. The Buddha was born in 563 BC. He was born in the 563 BC in Lumbini. As Siddhartha. His original name was Siddhartha. He was the son of Suddharodona, who was the ruler of Kapilavastu. His father was the ruler of Kapilavastu. He was also a prince. He also belonged to the Kshatriya family, but he also did the same thing what Mahavira did. Then his mother Mayadevi. Students, one more thing is that the place called Kapilavastu is the present day Nepal. India was a very big country at the time, therefore it is called a subcontinent. So it is situated in the present day Nepal. His mother Mayadevi passed away when he was only 7 days. Students, just think, when Buddha or Siddhartha, I can say, he was only 7 days old and he was brought up by his stepmother Gautami. He was dead. His mother was dead, and he was brought up by his stepmother Gautami. Then, students, Siddhartha was made to a very sheltered life because astrologers had predicted that he would give up the throne and worldly pleasure. Astrologers have earlier they have given a prediction that he would give up the throne and he will lead a very simple life and he will feel very pleasure. He will leave all the worldly pleasure to follow a different path. And this happened at last. The king wanted to avoid this from happening and so did not allow him to go out of the palace. So when he knew that his son was doing all this, will do in future all these type of activities, so he tried to make him stay inside the palace only. When Siddhartha had grown into an intelligent young man, he ventured out of the palace when he was a young man. Then one day he chanced upon a few sights that changed the course of his life forever. He first saw, what he saw when he got outside? He saw first a very old man who was very sick, who could barely walk. Next, a sick man who was in a great pain, and lastly, he saw a corpse, a dead body. He was taken to the graveyard. So, having seen all this, he had never been exposed to pain before. He saw these sights had a deep effect on him. He thought that could it happen to me? These are the real things which will happen in future to every human being. So he had never experienced pain. His servant then explained to him that pain and death are inevitable. You can't avoid them. Death is the biggest universal reality which we have to accept, that death will come, must. You can't, a person can't take birth. He or she may die in the womb of the mother, but if you are taking birth in the earth, on the earth, you will die someday. That is the most biggest reality of our human life. This made Siddhartha very sad, and he started to rethink about his life and to ponder the reason of existence. Seeing him so thoughtful, his father decided to get him married to take his mind off from some serious subjects. So Siddhartha was married to a beautiful princess, Yasodhara by name. So his wife's name was Yasodhara. He was married. Okay friends, then she soon gave birth to a son who was named Rahul. Despite this, he found no happiness in materialistic pleasures, and so left the palace and his family in search of salvation. I have told you students that it was the same case, a little bit of same what Mahavira did. He was only 29 years. He roamed the country, whole country, meeting various sages in search of inner peace. He lived the life of a hermit and underwent really rigorous meditation or tapasya to achieve his purpose, but still could not understand the reasonable meanings of life and death. Finally, one day he reached Bodh Gaya. Bodh Gaya is situated in Bihar, students. He was very tired and sat in the shade of a tree. There he was blessed with a divine light that is called the enlightenment. And this was the turning point of his life. By roaming here throughout the country, he reached that place that is called Bodh Gaya. He realized that the truth within every human being, inside every human being. After this, he was known as Buddha, or the enlightened one. From Gaya, he went to the deer park in Sarnath and delivered his first sermon. Sarnath is situated in Uttar Pradesh, students. Then, for the next 45 years, he moved from place to place, preaching his message. He passed away at the age of 80 at Kushinagar in 483 BC. He passed away. 563 BC he was born, but he passed away in 483. 483 BC in Kushinagar. Okay, friends. Then we'll study about his teachings. Students, when we come to about the teachings of Gautam Buddha, Buddha adopted the middle path. There were two main principles of Buddhism, called the Four Noble Truths, which I have written here, and the Eightfold Path. So what were the Four Noble Truths? We will study here. The world is full of suffering means, students, the problems being faced by the human beings. Okay, students, then the cause of suffering is desire. Student, desire means if you want something and your wants becomes unlimited, every day you want something new, so that is called the desire. The cause of suffering is desire. Then what are the reasons? Suffering can be removed by overcoming desires. Okay, if our desires, if our needs, wants will be reduced, then our demands will also decrease. Okay, students, then last one, desires can be overcome by following Eightfold Path. His teaching, the Eightfold Path, that we will study further, so that can be a solution to overcome desires. Students, then the next one is the Eightfold Path. So what was the Eightfold Path? That I will tell you, students. The first one is the right faith. To have faith on our religion, on somebody. So that can be the a right way to overcome desire. That is the right faith. The second one is right resolve, resolving your solutions. That is called the right resolve. Then right speech, in right action, what you speak, what the activities you do, that can be a solution to overcome desire. Then students, next is right livelihood. What type of life you are living, your standard of living. Then the next one is right effort, what are the efforts you make. Then the right mindfulness, the right meditation. If you do meditation, then you can overcome desire. Right mindfulness, if you are in a rational mind, then if you behave with other people in the right manner, then this can be a step for overcoming desire. Then Buddha believed that the theory of karma. He said that if we do good deeds in our life, we would attain nirvana, or the liberation from the cycle of birth and death. He said that man's ultimate aim was to attain nirvana. He was a firm believer in ahimsa, that is called the non-violent students. Buddha had no faith in caste system. He believed in equality among all the people, of all regardless of caste, gender. He was thinking that everybody is equal in front of the God. Then students, he laid great emphasis on character. He preached in Pali. Students, what Mahavira's teaching was in Prakrit, but Buddha's teaching was in Pali language. This is one of the oldest languages. Okay, students, this was the language of the common people. As I have told you, the Sanskrit was only limited to the educated people, and Pali and Prakrit were the common languages being preached by Gautam Buddha and Mahavira respectively. Buddhism came to be divided into two sects: Hinayana, students, Hinayana, and Mahayana. Okay, students, it was divided into two sects or two divisions, I can say. The Hinayana Buddhists believed that Buddha was a preacher, and the Mahayana Buddhists, they were also ritualism and prayed to Buddha as God. Both are same, but their ideologies differ. Then students, then we will move to the next topic. Students, our next subtopic is the Sangha. What is Sangha? Buddhists as well as the Jain monks lived in Sanghas. Okay, students, Sanghas were organizations set up for people who had left their homes in search of knowledge. Students, this can be the homes which were left by people who left home in search of knowledge. This was, I can say, a shelter place. The inhabitants of the Sanghas were called bhikkhus, the monks. Monks means, as I have told you students, they are called the sadhu sons. Okay, students. The positions of the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis were three robes. An alms bowl, students, means alms bowl, students, sorry, means bowl means katura, and alms means beak. They were roaming here and there in search of alms. A cloth belt and a needle and a thread, a razor for shaving and water filter. So these were some of the materials they keep with themselves. The first one is, friends, the alms bowl, cloth belt, and friends, the third one is the needle and thread. Friends, then razor. Razor was there for saving purpose. So these were some of the things, some of the belongings the bhikkhus were keeping with themselves while they were roaming one place to another. Then, friends, people belonging to different castes, such as and different professions, such as the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the merchants, and the laborers also, they joined the Sangha. They wanted to become a bhikshu. They wanted to become a monk. In the beginning, only men would join a Sangha. Later on, women were also given the chance to join Sangha. The rules of the Buddhist Sangha was prescribed in the Vinaya Pitaka. So there was a book called, it was known as Vinaya Pitaka, the rules of the Sangha, that how they should live, how they should survive there, exist there. So that was written in Guinea-Africa. Students, then the next is, students, the monasteries. What are monasteries? The monks were religious teachers who went from place to place. As time passed, monasteries called viharas came to be built for monks. The viharas were built with donations with rich merchants. Then monks lived in the viharas and spent their lives teaching people. People from cities, they brought gifts and charity to the resident monks, and who taught them. In this manner, the viharas emerged as centers of education. The monks they preached their religion and they also delivered education there. The Nalanda University was one such center that became a renowned university. It is considered one of the oldest universities in our country, which is situated in present-day Bihar. The monasteries and monks played an important role in the spread of Buddhism. Okay, because they were monks, a place where the monks give education to different people. Then we move to next topic, that is the common teaching. Common teachings of Buddhism and Jainism. So what were the common teachings? Buddhism and Jainism have a number of common teachings. Both of them laid emphasis on practical teachings. Then there is a similarity between Eightfold Path of Mahatma Buddha or Gautam Buddha and the teachings of Bhagwan Mahavira. Both the religious leaders wanted to reform people. They promoted moral values. Friends, these two persons, the two great leaders were great social reformers, I can say. They were social reformers. They tried to change the activities based on religious. Then, friends, both of them opposed rituals, the religious rituals, as I say. They opposed caste system and rejected the authority of Vedas. They opposed the caste system made by the ancient people, and the authority of Vedas means they didn't want that only the people who know Vedas, they should remain superior. Students, then the next is both of the religions were advocates of ahimsa. The next best thing is both the religions were the advocates of ahimsa, non-violence. Okay, students. So then next topic is the stages of life of the ashram people. What are the different stages of life? The religious people, like Gautam Buddha, what he taught. The first one is, students, under the ashrama lifestyle. Means now as you are going to schools, you are coming to schools for studies. What were they doing? Were there schools, colleges, universities at that time? No. There were the ashrama style of life prevailing in that era. Under the ashrama style of life of a high caste Hindu male was divided into age-based periods of stages. The four ashramas life are as under. The first one is the brahmacharya. The brahmacharya means the bachelor's life. This is a period of formal education. It lasts until the age of 25 years. During this stage, the young male was to leave home to stay with a guru, his religious guru, you can say. Sorry, he went to that place in the ashram, the guru of that ashram, for acquiring education. During this period, he is called a brahmachari, means a bachelor. Then second one is a grihastha. Students, what is that? The grihastha. What is the grihastha? Then students, the ashram's life starts after becoming a brahmachari and lasts until the age of 50. This stage begins with the man getting married and undertaking the responsibility of supporting his family. So in real life, grihastha stage lasts as long as in a lifetime. Then students, the next unit is vanaprastha. What is vanaprastha? The stage was a transition phase from a householder's life to one with greater emphasis on moksha. In this stage, the man would hand over household responsibilities in the next generation and live a semi-retired, the vanaprastha life until the age of around 75. Students, then the last one is the sannyasa. Sannyasi means a person who has left all the worldly pleasures and been shifted to somewhere. At this stage, a man lives a life that is totally devoted to God. He is a sannyasi and ascetic. He has no home and renounces all desires, has left all the worldly pleasures, as I have told you. He is given the responsibility, the duties. Attaining moksha remains his sole concern. Means after all the three stages, he moves to the sannyasi stage. This system of ashrama is believed to be prevalent since the 55th century. So the ashrama lifestyle was as old as the 5th century. This you must have been seen in serials like Ramayana and Mahabharata. They used to go to a guru, they stay there and get their formal education. However, historians say that these stages of life were always viewed more as ideals than as common practice. One does not know how many people actually followed this system. Most people probably followed the first two stages. Women could adopt the ashrama chosen by their husbands. Then, students, the next topic we will study is about the Upanishads. Thank you, students. What is Upanishads? What are Upanishads? Then the Upanishads, students, are the interpretations of the Vedas. These are the part of later Vedic texts. The term Upanishad means literally those who sit near. It means those who sit near. It literally means those who sit near. Then students, one of the most popular verses from the Upanishads is lead me from unreal to real, lead me from darkness to light, lead me from death to immortality. This is one of the famous verses of the Upanishads. The fundamental message of the Upanishads is its emphasis on meditation. The authors of Upanishads considered that both the Atma, the individual and soul, Atma, and the Brahman, the universal soul, were one. The soul is identified with Brahman, it is called the God. The soul is made up of everything. As one acts, so one becomes. The doer of good becomes good, the doer of evil becomes evil. Ours is world of action, that is called Upanishads. Students, what were the different type of other religions being prevailing in other parts of the world at the time of the spread of Jainism and Buddhism? So, what was that? Elsewhere we will study the last topic. That is Zoroaster or Zarathustra. That is also one type of religion, Zoroaster or Zarathustra. Okay students, this was an ancient Iranian prophet. He was the founder of the religion Zoroastrianism. He was a famous old Iranian prophet. He was the founder of Zoroastrianism. God in Zoroastrianism is called the Ahura Mazda. So the God here is called Ahura. Ahura Mazda. In Zoroastrianism, they believe that there is a constant battle between good and evil always. It regards fire as a symbol of God. Fire temple. You can say the Parsis are also peoples there who worship the fire. There is fire temples situated in some parts of our country where the Parsis usually go for worship. Then, therefore, all rituals are therefore, students, the Zoroastrian people, when they perform religious rituals, they are performed in before the sacred fire. In front of the sacred fire, because they worship fire. Okay students, then the Zend-Avesta is the religious text. Students, as Gita is the religious text of Hinduism, and the Zend-Avesta is the religious text of the Zoroastrianism people. Then the followers of this religion are called Parsis. So the followers of this religion are called the Parsis. Parsis. The Parsis are the followers of the religion, and they are even present in our Indian subcontinent. They came here about 1,000 years ago. Students, 1,000 years ago. They have integrated into this land, but at the same time, they maintain their own identity. The fraternity of people, they lead all different type of social life. They have no social or family ties with the Persians in Iran and do not share their recent history with them also. So students, this was the end of the topic, and I hope you would have understood the topic, understood the chapter very well. I always repeat students, whenever you are watching this video, you please refer to the textbook. If you don't have textbook, then please buy it soon. So by saying this students, I bid goodbye to all of you. Thank you students, have a good day. Bye bye.